Hey everyone, it's Jack, and today I'm going to take a look at XeroLinux. This is a Linux distro that I haven't taken a look at in quite a while, and XeroLinux is an Arch-based distro using the KDE desktop, and I believe also the Latte Dock by default. So this is really a gorgeous distro. I remember when I reviewed this for the first time, I was super impressed. And I have a feeling I'm going to be impressed again. So XeroLinux, like it says here on the website, is a hobbyist Arch-based distro built using in-house scripts created by your friendly human, KDE. Hope I pronounced that right. Sorry if I didn't. Anyways, Key is a proud contributor to the project that is meant to provide you with a stable base, making it simpler to install Arch Linux using Calamares, with a well-optimized and customized KDE-Plasma that you can shape your way, the easy way. And this distro is proudly made in Lebanon. And as we scroll down here a little bit, we got a little bit of an overview of what's going on and also customizations available. So you have rices and themes here. And the first one here, we have XeroDunes. And this one, I think, is probably using the more standard KDE panels. So if you don't want to use Latte Dock, you have some easy options here without having to change the panels yourself. You could run one of these really cool scripts. And then the other three scripts, I believe, are using the Latte Dock to give you this really fancy, nice, different layouts here. So these are some pre-made custom themes. And so that is definitely worth noting as well, I think. So let's jump right into it and download this baby. So I'm just going to hit this download button here, and that should bring up this guy. And really nice looking website too. They really got this looking great. And so here I'm going to select the Xero KDE by default. And by the way, over here on the left-hand side, we got XeroG. That's a GNOME version of Xero. And I believe that's available. That's a special edition, which is kind of cool. So if you really like GNOME, you can get that just by supporting the project. And then a download link will be available to you to get the XeroG. So you want to keep that in mind. This is totally a worthwhile project. I can tell you that, just based on my last review that I did a couple years ago. So absolutely. I'm going to hit Xero KDE right here, and then I'm going to pick a repo, and I'm just going to go with SourceForge. So I'm just going to hit the download here, and that'll just pop me right over to the SourceForge website. Going to just let this download, and when I'm done, I'll be back. Okay, here we are at the boot screen. And so here we got boot XeroLinux by default. So I'm just going to hit that, boot right in. And then we should be coming to a live screen here. And so when we load in all the default stuff here for our live environment, then we'll just get right to it, jump into the installer and get this baby installed. And like I said on the website, this is an easy way to install Arch using the Calamares installer. And so they put together all the scripts for you so you don't have to if you don't want to do it the Arch way. And you get yourself an instant, riced out, gorgeous environment. And so now it's getting ready to load in our live environment here. And I don't think it's going to go to a boot screen, so it should just go right into the live environment. And here it comes. So looks like we got our environment here. And so I'm just going to go in here and just jump right in. And it looks like we got a nice welcome screen here. It also has a resolution fix for VMware and QEMU. So that's kind of cool. So I'm assuming if you're having issues with the resolution, you can hit that button and it'll probably just fix it for you. So that's nice to see too. I'm going to get right in and launch the installer. We can see our Latte Dock here down below and up above, and really beautiful right off the bat. Just a great first impression. And the installer is starting to open up right now, and they're even welcoming their fellow Linux nerds. Wow. So here we are, our first choice here. And I like how they got the tabs on top too. That's kind of a nice layout there. That's very cool, rather than the traditional left-hand pane there. I like that. So I'm going to go with the defaults there. Automatically detected our location, and our keyboard is all good. So going to go with that. Really like the color scheme too. Here we have our choices for install. And since I'm just going to erase over everything, I'm just going to go with the erase disk option. And then by default, we have no swap and XFS. Typically, I'll use ext4 or Btrfs. And I think I'll just go with Butter this time. And we'll hit next. I kind of like the Btrfs better than margarine. So here I'm going to put in my name. So we'll just go with Toadwick. And then we'll just tab all the way down and pop in a password. And that's all good. Even though it says it's too weak, that's okay. And so I'm going to keep this checked. By default, reuse the same password for the root. And we can log in automatically if you like. Typically, I'm good with that too. However, I'm just going to uncheck that so we can see our login screen when we log in and just kind of get a feel for what the login looks like. The SDDM, I'm assuming, is the display manager. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And then here we have a summary of everything. It's going to go ahead and create a brand new MS-DOS partition and 66 gigs here on the hard drive assigned to this, and then our ButterFS and so forth. So I'm going to hit install now. And we'll just let it do its thing. I'm going to pause the video, and then after that, we'll check it out. Okay, we've completed the install here. So I'm just going to go jump up to our menu here, hit our power button, restart, and I'll be right back. And we restarted, and it looks like everything's looking good so far. So really nice grub screen there. I like that already. So we'll just get booted in here. This should just take a second, and we should get up to our display manager, our login. We'll log in if everything worked, and if it didn't, but it did. So here's our login screen. Excellent. So I'm going to just log in here, and really nice login screen too. So they got that set up beautiful. Really looks like the theming and the ricing and everything is just gorgeous in here. You can tell that is like the centerpiece of the distro here. And so here we got our welcome screen, looking good. And there's our Latte Dock popping up here at the bottom, also looking great. So here we are showing that we got 332 items available. So I'm just going to get the update out of the way right now, because it's always a good idea to update first thing. That way it's all taken care of, and anything you install from there is good to go. So I'm going to go with option 3 here. So I really like this updater here. It's given us some options here to update Arch and AUR or Flatpaks or everything in one shot. The nuke option. So let's go with that. I'm going to hit 3, press enter, and now it's showing that it's updating everything. And I really like that it's console based here too. So that kind of speeds things up and takes care of the overhead. Also installing the base devel, so I like to see that as well. And you can see our Linux headers here showing 6.2.10 kernel. So we're going to have the latest and greatest there as of the time of this video. So I'm going to let it do its thing, and then I'll just come back. Okay, so now I'm just going to authenticate here, and this should kind of finish it up. And so that kind of is taking care of everything, including the Flatpaks, which are installed by default. Another coolness feature. And I really like the blur effect behind the console here as well. Nice. So this is just about done. Not only just about done, but it is done. So I'm going to press enter to exit, and that just kind of faded out and looking good. So now let's check out the goodies. So as you can see, we got the Latte Dock here and looking nice. And then on both sides, these are both Latte, I believe. Yeah, when we right click, we can see the Latte Dock. And so some of you might be concerned about the Latte Dock, because at least last I heard, Latte Dock was kind of going extinct and not really being a thing anymore on GitHub. However, I went out to GitHub, and it looked like that they had an update about 2 months ago as of the time of this video. So that's pretty encouraging. It sounds like, you know, you might have a contributor here and there still working on it. However, there's always the option to use the straight up KDE dock anyways if you are worried about it. Plus those ricing features that are available on the website. I think one of them has the setup where it will kind of set up the KDE dock, the Plasma dock for you, all for you. So you don't have to if you're a little uncomfortable with ricing. So that's cool. So let's see what we got down here. So in our dock, we got our CPU usage here, which is just kind of fluctuating up and down. I like that the widget is right there. Then we have our dolphin, and I like the icon theme too. That looks really nice right off the bat. And the animations are looking good. We got a little bit of wobbly windows happening there. Liking that too. And I like also that we got the blur in the background here, and when you drag the window, it becomes transparent and blurs again. And that was the same with the console as well. When we had that open, it would have a blurred background, but then become transparent as you dragged it. So that's kind of nice. I like that little effect. And this slide behind effect, very cool. So when you focus a window that's not focused, the focused window will slide right behind it. Well, like that. Pretty cool. Nice effect there. Other options here are update Arch mirror list if you want to update your mirrors, install drivers. So if you need to put some proprietary drivers in here, like some NVIDIA's or AMD, ATI, and so forth, here we got easy access to installing proprietary drivers. So that's kind of nice, especially if you're running like an NVIDIA. Even an option to switch to Light DM. Very cool. So that makes it really easy and painless if you want to use the Light DM display manager instead at login, or the other way around, switch to SDDM. I'm assuming we're using SDDM right now by default, which is typically the default display manager for KDE. So if you switch to Light DM and you regret it, you can come back here, switch to SDDM, and be right back. And also laptop tools here for the Asus Optimus or ROG Optimus Discord. You have a link to as well, but that is very cool. It's showing that as a web resource there. So switching back here, easy way to fix your GNU PG keys if you're having issues with your keys, which that happens sometimes in Arch Linux. So another nice handy utility where you can just fix it easily right from the welcome screen. This is a very useful welcome screen, so I am liking this too. And then of course we have our FAQs, source code from GitHub. So a nice link there, easy access to the forums. And then here we have a post-install system config and an install applications. Cool. So let's look at the post-install real quick and just kind of see what we got easy access to. So here we can initialize our Snapper, and we did the ButterFS install. So Snapper is really optimized with the ButterFS file system. And so Snapper is something that will back up your system configuration. So if an update hoses your system, Snapper, you can go in here and put it back the way it was and you're good to go. So really great. And then here we can switch to ZSH with OMZ P10K. So I'm not really sure what we're running here by default in our terminal. So let's just kind of take a look here. So when the terminal opens up here, we got this little neofetch right off to the side, right at the start here, which is nice. And I can see we're running bash by default. So if you don't want to use bash, you got easy access to ZSH right here. So you can just hit that and boom, you're ZSHified. In fact, let's try that just for fun. Personally, I like bash, but I also like ZSH. So I'm just going to put that in there just to see how easy it is. And so now it's installing all the required files here, does everything for you. Instant ZSH upgrade, if you want to call it that. Nice. And ZSH has a lot of nice features. I personally actually kind of like it better than Fish, actually, because I seem to have issues with Fish when running certain commands. And that could also be something that's caused by my own ignorance of some aspect of it. But looks like we're done. So now all we got to do is log out, log back in to activate the ZSH features, and then we're good to go. So I'm going to press enter, and that'll just close that out. And I think I'll do that real quick. So be right back. Just close all these guys, log out, and be right back. Oh, that was an easy log out. I guess I didn't have to pause it. So we'll just hit that, and then it should bring us back to our login here, log in. And now we should be ZSHified. Nice. So if I click back on our terminal here, we should have our ZSH console, and there we go. Even looks cool. We got the oh my ZSH happening there, the nice little prompt. I like that you can just install ZSH so easily like that. And another bonus for having these cool utilities here. And switching back here, oh, we also have apply oh my bash. Cool. Can enable the Wayland session. So looks like we're probably in here, I guess, in Xorg by default. But this will allow you to easily enable the Wayland session. Personally, I'm not a Wayland person. I prefer the Xorg because I still have issues with Wayland every so often with the stuff that I use. So yeah, I'm still not there yet. And then, of course, they have the QEMU resolution fix. You can enable your firewall and also H block. So let's hit back and see what we got under install apps. And here we got a bunch of apps that we can use, and Flatpak is by default, or Flatpak is an option here. So if you find something in here, you can hit the use Flatpak button there and it'll install the Flatpak version instead. So this is kind of cool. This is like a quick way that you can get stuff, and these are probably recommended things from the developers, I think. So I am liking that. Even Android tools, that's cool. So if you're into developing Android stuff, there you go. Additional kernels, so if you want to back off your kernel to maybe like an LTS kernel, long-term support, can add that in there, or the Zen, Harden, and so forth. Really great. And development tools, internet. So if you want to install maybe a mail client, you got quick access to a couple of recommended clients like Bluemail or Kmail. Package managers, remote desktop, and ricing. Check that out. So let's see the ricing category here. So here's a utility where you can save and apply your customizations with just one command. That's cool. So if you spend a bunch of time ricing your system, that looks like it could be a really cool utility. And then, of course, we got variety under here as well. And screensaver, wallpaper plugin. So very nice. I like the fact that they give you some quick access to some cool tools. And there's Hypnotics. Nice. That's a nice tool. That's something I think is default in Linux Mint. And Hypnotics is a great IPTV tool there where you can pick up a lot of TV stations using their utility. So that's cool as well. And Simple Screen Recorder, that's a great screen recorder. Jellyfish is a nice media streamer if you like streaming media to your television, to your TV. And then virtualization stuff like GNOME Boxes. GNOME Boxes is like an easy way to use Virt Manager. So it's kind of based on, or it is based on Virt Manager, I believe. But it makes it a lot simpler to use if you need some pre-configured customizations and video settings and all that. It's actually pretty decent, and even has VMware Workstation. Cool. I've used that a few times, and it is super good. So I'm going to hit back here, and that kind of covers the welcome screen, so I'm liking it. So I'll just close out of there, and let's take a look at our bar up here. So wow, here we got our application menu, and this is our default menu here with the Latte Dock, and really beautiful. Still, it's got the nice blur effect behind it, and just a beautiful color scheme. I think I just probably wouldn't change a thing on here, really. If I was just going to use this straight out of the box, I think I'd be really happy with it. And then here, of course, in the center, we got our clock settings and our calendar. And then over towards the right, we got our network usage stats here and our updater, which is showing we're up to date. And then we have our Yakoe, which is our drop-down terminal. That's pretty nice. So you can either click on it or hit F12 as a keyboard shortcut, and it drops right down, and you have quick, easy access to your console. And that's something I really like too, is having that. Hit F12 again and it'll go back up. And then we got our speaker settings here, easy access again, and just a gorgeous outlook here. Here's our networks, and then we have our hidden icons showing all our extra stuff, notifications, clipboard, vaults, power management, display, and all your standard stuff. Then we got our desktop switcher here at the end, and looks like we got 3 desktops by default. Very cool. So we could pop over to the second desktop if you want, or just pop back to your desktop number 1. Beautiful. And if you got to do any adjustments here in your Latte Dock, all you have to do is right click and select Edit Dock, and then that'll give you access to the configuration area here. You can even rearrange your widgets up here easily just by grabbing them and moving them around. So that's nice. And we got our global menu over here too. So that's something I didn't realize until just now. So with our global menu, we got our file and so forth. So with our global menu, you probably noticed that, and I didn't. So I'm glad to see that on there also by default. But here you can do all your tweaking if you want to just tweak it around. Again, I like the defaults on it, but if you know your way around Latte Dock, or if you just want to play with it, this is the place to do it. and even preset themes here as well. So right now it's using the Plasma theme colors, and then you got your effects here as well. So lots of flexibility here. And like I said, the global menu, when we click on our console, if you're a Mac user, this is very Mac-like. So even the panel down below is reminiscent of a Mac computer. And so here we got our global menu, and you can close your console just by coming up here and hitting it. So all looking good. And then of course on our taskbar, we got our Dolphin file manager, Firefox, Meld, which I think is, I forgot, a file comparison utility maybe? Yeah, so it looks like it can compare. So that's our comparison utility here. And then console, of course, system settings, gparted, which is great if you need to partition your drive or do some maintenance there with your partitions. Really great if you're not an experienced computer person. I probably would take that right off of there and run from it, because you could hose your system and totally lose everything if you make a mistake with it. So yeah, not recommended for your average user. Unless you're advanced, I would stay away from that. And then we have our flat seal. That'll help you check and change your permissions for Flatpak applications. Of course, we don't have any installed right now as far as I know. And then, of course, our hello screen, which we were looking at earlier. So I'm going to take a quick look at Dolphin here and just kind of see how it's themed out here. So these are our default looks. And I did have this earlier open, but I really kind of forgot to take a look at the icons and so forth, and really love the look here. The theming is so nice. The purple is just gorgeous here. And I also have that highlighted here in our menu. And speaking of highlighting, let's go into our settings and check out our settings panel. So if we bring this open, here we got our standard KDE settings, and by default we're in our Breeze Dark, I think. If I hit appearance, then we can kind of see our global themes. So we're actually using the lay-in theme. I knew that. I forgot. So yeah, we're using our lay-in global theme here, which I think is just gorgeous. And then of course we have our traditional Breeze and Breeze Dark, Twilight, and so forth, which are KDE defaults. And then you can use the lay-in light if you prefer a light theme instead. And then of course you can tweak your global theme by changing the application style. So if there's something in the global theme you want to change, like your button styles and other widgets, then you can change it here. Lightly is what the lay-in theme is using by default. Then we have our Plasma style, which again, you can tweak your backgrounds on your window. So maybe if you want a light background in your open Windows dialogues here, you can click something like that and hit apply, and it'll lighten things up. And so now when we go over to our application here, launcher, you can see that it's a light color. It didn't change the window background, so I guess I was wrong about that part. But anyway, it does change other areas. And I'm just going to close Dolphin real quick and open it back up just to make sure that maybe, yeah, so that stays dark. I like the lay-in default there, so I'm going to hit that, and then that'll kind of darken up our menu again and looks nice. Probably colors here is where you'd want to lighten up your window background if you like the window backgrounds lightened up. So if I was going to just hit like this guy here, like the Breeze Classic or maybe the Breeze Light even, and hit apply, that'll lighten up your backgrounds here and probably everything, even your global menu. Here we can change our accent colors. I really like the default, so I probably wouldn't change a thing here. But if you wanted to, you could go from your current wallpaper here, and it's fairly similar. Current color scheme, which would kind of change them more greenish, more bluish color, it looks like. And then our customization, which I'm just going to keep that, but you can easily change your highlighting to any of these colors or go with custom and just pick your very own color from 16 billion choices, give or take. And then our window decorations. So when we pop here, we can change our window decorations. That's this top section here on our window. And so here we got our round buttons, kind of Mac style in our lay-in theme here. But you can also choose different styles if you prefer something different, like your Windows type buttons over here, like in Breeze and so forth. And then in our title bar, we can also switch our buttons around. So If you want your buttons over on the left-hand side, we can just grab them here and just drag them over, and then they'll be on your left-hand side like a Mac. Personally, I'm more comfortable with them right where they are on the default. And so I like the defaults personally. And of course, you can always hit get new window decorations if you want to download something from the internet. And the same thing applies for the plasma style and the application style and all that. And then we have our icons. And so here we got our telecircle. Purple dark is what's on here by default. Nice. And I am liking that. And again, we have our standard Adwaita and Breeze dark, but you can get new icons here if you want something totally different. You can jump in here and you can go by most recent or highest rated, which is what I prefer. And we got more to choose from like Candy, Cora, Nueda, and so forth. Really great. Beauty line is a nice choice there as well. Got beauty folders, beauty line. I haven't seen beauty folders before. That's probably all of them, but or maybe it's just changes your folders but keeps all your other icons the same. I don't know. Let's give it a look. But that's kind of what it sounds like to me, is that it changes your folder icons but probably keeps the icons in your launcher the same. So I hit use on that, and then I'll just close this, and now we have our beauty folders here. So if I go back over here and click on it, it updates. So that's cool. I used to have to close Dolphin and open it back up for it to update, but this time all I had to do was click on it. Nice. And then if I go up here in our menu, let's take a look. So in our menu, it looks like we're still using our telecircle icons. So that's cool. So I think that's something new. I think the beauty icons didn't have that option before. Either that or I never noticed it, but I like having the options where you can change just the folders in your file manager and leave everything else the same. So even down here in our Latte Dock, and I'm assuming on our desktop too, it would all be the same. It would all stick with your default icons. So I'm liking it a lot. And I find that to be quite coolness. Yeah, I'm going to go back to the dark theme too. It looks like I forgot to go back there. So I'm going to go here and go with the lay-in and apply. And we're back on our dark theme. Especially the beauty line, I think looks really great with a dark theme. Oops. Must be when I hit that global theme, I changed my icons. Oops. Yeah, my bad. So I'm going to go back to beauty folders. I think I just kind of like that. So we'll reapply that, and now it's not updating. That's a typical KDE thing, nothing to do with Xero. So I'm going to close that, just open it back up, and there we go. Coolness. And then our default icons here, I think were telecircle purple, dark. So I wonder if I hit that, that's a Latte Dock thing there, I think. And now we're back to our default here with our layered theme here. And it's not updating on the Latte Dock, but that's a Latte thing as well. If I were to log out and log back in, those would all kind of change. But not a big deal. And so we have all our other stuff in here that's pretty typical with our KDE settings here that we've been over many times in KDE. Desktop effects, so we can see what's enabled by default. We got our blur and fading, full screen login, rubber band, nice, sliding pop-ups, sliding tooltips, wobbly windows, squash, great. So it has just the right mixture of effects in there to be really cool and not overkill. So I like that. Then our window management settings, our KWin scripts. So they got a lot of nice scripting in here added, like your force blur, minimize all, window to the center, screen snapping, very nice. And even has a window tiling area here where you can kind of set up rules for your window tiling if you want to go that way. And again, all your standard KDE stuff here. Typically, users is one of my regular stops where I'll go in and just change the avatar here, and that kind of looks cool. We'll put the car up there. And you can see we're using an administrator account type by default. Good to see. Application settings, user feedback, online accounts, your network settings, input devices. Typically, I go in here and just make sure that my key lock numlock is turned on, which it is, and my mouse settings, you can change left-handed mode there. And typically I just kind of keep everything default there as well. Then your display and monitor settings. So if you need to change your resolution, this is a place to do it. You got night color. If you want to kind of change the color at night, that can be easier on the eyes for some people. And then our about. So here we can see that we're running the latest of everything, of course, because we're in Arch. So we got 5.27.4 Plasma version, Qt 5.15, and so forth. And then we even have a systemd menu. So we can go in here and kind of check out our systemd. That's pretty handy if you're more advanced and you need to tweak things or work with the comp. Very nice addition there. I don't typically see that by default on most setups. So very nice addition. And of course, by default, there's not much on here. It's quite bare bones as far as applications. So they leave you lots of room to go in here and install the stuff that you want to install. And developer tools are installed by default, which is very cool. Not even an Office thing. So you can just start out with everything you need, system, utilities. And I see that HTOP is on here by default. I didn't go in there right off the bat, so we're probably not going to get the best reading on HTOP. Great color scheme again, but 1.3 gigs here, which is kind of what I would expect given that we've been in here messing around so much. And even with Dolphin closed, it should put us around 1.2, which is kind of consistent with a GNOME desktop. But I suspect if I logged in fresh, we would actually have a lower resource usage than that. Although Latte Dock does, add to the overhead there. And if you're someone that doesn't want to use Latte Dock, we could probably run right out to the XeroLinux website here, download one of those rising scripts and see what happens. I think we could go straight to Plasma panels there just by using one of their scripts, which is a lot easier. So if I just put in the XeroLinux website, and we just click on this guy, I'll just scroll down to that rising area. And of course, you can just simply delete the Latte Dock and, kind of do it manually. But why not use one of their scripts? Looks like it's using the Dracula theme by default. So this top one, XeroDunes, I believe, uses the Plasma panels and not the other stuff. So if we go here to the GitHub website, we have installation instructions, and all we have to do is just run this guy right here, and it gives us everything. It'll git clone, change the directory, and install it all in one shot there. So I'm going to hit F12 to bring down our drop-down console, and I'm going to paste that in, and let's run it, see what happens. So here's the rising script, and so I'm going to authenticate, and we'll probably have to log back in or restart, I'm guessing, but we'll just run this baby and see what happens. And this does all the hard work for us. And of course, this is a custom script here. And I really like the way it looks too, actually, from the screenshot. That is a very cool look. And if I was kind of running this as my daily right now, I would probably be inclined to install this. And so now it's going to reboot automatically. Very cool. So we'll let it do its thing here and see how it came out. Even changed the grub screen. Love it. Nice. And another surprise, even the display manager login looks different. Of course, that could be a hallucination. So I'll just log in right here and hit that. We'll see what happens. And in comes our new look. Wow. So if I come up and right click, then you can see that this is actually the KDE-Plasma bar here, and this should be the same, and it is. So we have gotten rid of the Latte Dock. So if you're nervous about Latte Dock or you just don't want to use so many resources, this looks like a great alternative here. This is the rice right from their website, and I am really liking that. And just for fun, let me just jump into our menu here and jump into our system, HTOP, and just kind of get a look at our resource usage again. And now we're down to about a gig here. So not a whole lot of difference, but again, we're running lots of effects like our blur effect. And it's not as pronounced with the dark wallpaper there, but we are still running our blur. And when you drag it, then it goes transparent and so forth. So those effects do add to the overhead, but again, personally, I don't consider a gig much overhead at all. And I think anybody with at least 4 gigs of RAM on their computer and something that's less than 5 years old or so, is not even going to break a sweat over that. Probably even a 10-year-old computer. When you compare it to a Windows system that you would probably need at least 8 gigs minimum. And we also got a weather widget added up here too, which you can simply go into properties and let it auto detect your location. And let's take a look at our theming. So if I open this up, we can see our Dracula icons in there. So it just worked beautifully. We got this themed really nice, and I am liking this. And of course, with our Plasma Dock, now we got easy access to changing our menu. So if you want a different menu style, we can just right click and select show alternatives, and we can show a different type of menu. Like if you want a bigger launcher, you can select that and hit switch, and that'll switch it out for you. And now when we click on it, we got a fancier looking launcher here. Or if you kind of like the GNOME style where you got the full screen launcher, which is something I like personally, we can hit show alternatives and select the application dashboard. And when you hit switch and then select your launcher, now we got the full screen. Cool. And of course, easy access to the widgets. We can hit our widgets tab here and then add any widgets to your heart's content up here as well to either your Plasma Dock or your desktop. So this is looking all really great. And I didn't even look to see if we got a package manager installed here by default, but we should. I think if we go under settings here, not seeing anything in the way of GUIs. So that's a choice that you got as well. So this is really seriously all about choice here. I am really liking that too. And personally, I just like using the console for installing applications. So for me, I probably wouldn't even change that. But if you're really GUI dependent and you don't even want to mess with the console, of course, you still have the option of just going into your hello welcome screen by just popping in here, and I can type hello and open that up. And so the visual way of doing that would be install applications, or even, and then scroll down to package managers. And here you can just choose something visually. If you want to visually kind of look over what's available, Octopi, Discover. And so unless you want PAMAC, you can choose one of these other ones. And personally, I like Octopi and Discover. So you could just choose one and install it. And then that'll get you a package manager right off the bat. And you'll be good to go with a visual package manager. But personally, I would just use the good old console and just do something like make that bigger, like a sudo pacman -uppercase S, Inkscape. Surprise! That's a shocker. And just do a console install. And for me, that's just a quick way to do it because I know what it is that I want, that I'm looking for. So I can just pop in here and install Inkscape, Blender, and Office Suite, and so forth. And of course, if you're using the console, also, you can install multiple packages just by separating them with a space. So I could install, for example, GIMP and Blender and maybe OnlyOffice all in one shot. Just hit enter, and OnlyOffice must have a hyphen in it. Well, that's bizarre. I must be spelling something wrong with OnlyOffice. Maybe try it with uppercase. Maybe it's a case sensitive thing. Fascinating. Okay, I'll just do GIMP and Blender. So you can see if you have something in your list that it can't find, then it's not going to let you install the other stuff until you deal with it. And I'm not really quite sure what's up with the OnlyOffice thing there. Maybe that's only in the AUR? That's kind of weird. But these other two items are just downloading really quick, so we'll have Blender and GIMP installed practically in one shot. And I'm really kind of curious about the OnlyOffice thing. Let's see if the AUR helper Yay is installed. And it is, so that's cool. And it's just updating Yay now because I looked for it. So let's do Yay OnlyOffice, and let's see if it gives us some results here. And so it's OnlyOffice bin. Okay, so OnlyOffice -bin, that's why it wasn't showing up. So if I escape out of here, and even if I did a pacman, sudo pacman -fs, if I would have typed OnlyOffice -bin, it would have been just fine. So that's the trick. Target not found. What? All right, I'm sticking with Yay. see what I missed here. So OnlyOffice-bin. So yeah, apparently it's only available in the AUR. I didn't actually take a second to look at that. So that's an AUR thing. So I'm just going to use yay, select number 1, and we'll let it install that way. And so I guess I have to go into the AUR using for OnlyOffice. I don't remember having to do that before, but that may depend on the distro. Most people use LibreOffice, I think, but me personally, I just kind of prefer OnlyOffice. I like it. It's a great suite. And so the other items, if we come up here, we can see that under graphics, we got our Inkscape, and Blender and GIMP. So these are all 3 things that we installed here, and it looks like they're all there as well. And OnlyOffice will be installed here any second now. And I also noticed here down in our panel that the ricing there removed the unnecessary app there, the Gparted. So I'm kind of glad to see that. And we also have our window previews back. Like to see that as well. I kind of like the window previews, and that's one of the features that I like on KDE that I don't get in Latte Dock, although there might be a setting in there. I don't recall. It's been a while since I've messed with Latte. However, for me, that's just kind of a nice little touch. I just kind of like the window previews. And now we got our Office suite installed. So if I pop back in here, you can see that we have OnlyOffice here by default. And so if I had an Excel file on my computer, I could hit that Excel file, double click it, and it would open it up by default into the spreadsheet application. We have our document application, which is equivalent to Microsoft Word, presentation equivalent to PowerPoint, and even has templates that you can choose from. So if I open up our spreadsheet app here, for you Office users, this should look pretty familiar and has the nice look. So OnlyOffice, something I really like. And it always seems to come out themed really nice too. A lot of times LibreOffice doesn't theme well, and you got to go into the view settings and kind of change it when you change your theme, your global theme or something like that. So yeah, OnlyOffice is just kind of something I like. So really beautiful. I like this ricing script. And of course, there's 3 others available on the website as well if you want to play with those. Those are some nice pre-configured stuff if you don't want to do your own. So I'm going to drag that over, and let's look at this weather thing. And it says access denied. You don't have permission. Oh, yeah, I think that's the weather app. There's actually another weather app I like better on here. So I'm going to, that is Winterground. You could actually use a different widget here. So I could actually just right click on my desktop here, select add widgets, and then it'll open up our little slider here. And then I can select get new widgets and download new Plasma widgets. And then that'll open up another window that'll show us a lot of widgets that are available online. And I can type in weather here because the default weather widget, which is just called weather, doesn't really work in your Plasma bar. It works fine if you put it on your desktop, but not in your Plasma bar. It won't show the temperature. It'll show other things, but not your temperature. So if you want the temperature showing too, you can also install the weather widget 2. Weather widget 2 kind of is the fix. And here we have the 2.22 and 2.33 Plasmoid. I'm going to just choose the latest one since we're on Arch. That should work just fine. And so now we got that available. So again, if I right click and just go to add widgets, or you can, then if I type in weather, I should have that in our result. And here we got weather widget 2. So I can just kind of grab that and just drag it up into our Plasma bar. And there we go. Wow, 46. Oh, that's Leicester, UK. Wow, okay. So in Leicester, it is 46. It's a cool day up there. And of course, that's 46 Fahrenheit. Otherwise, they'd be roasting their butt off if it was centigrade. And then I could just get rid of the default one in here just by hitting enter edit mode after right clicking. And now I can just hover over it and then hit remove, and that'll take it out of there, and we're good to go. So if I hit escape, if I close this widget thingy here, now we have a working weather app. And if you click on it, you can also see the daily forecast for the next several days. Pretty nice, but looks like it's pretty cool out there in Leicester. Nice. And of course, you can change your location easily by right-clicking and selecting configure, and then you can add your own location in there. Easy peasy. I think it'll even auto-detect. So XeroLinux, wow. This did not disappoint. That's my 2 cents. I could leave it there and be good, but we got to give you more than 2 cents worth, even though it's 2 cents. So XeroLinux, just a fantastic distro. In fact, I might even just pop this on my computer and use it as a daily. I feel like a change of pace anyways. And I just love this setup here. It's all about beauty and they really make it nice. And personally, I like this rice here, that first choice using the plasma settings. I think that's a really cool design, having half your panel up here and then the other half down below. That's very cool. That's kind of a style that I can relate to. Very nice. Just beautifully laid out, a well thought out theme. Real talent on the XeroLinux side here. And I think they really deserve a lot of support. I think Steve or Dark Zero is the creator of XeroLinux. And I got to tell you, this is really a worthwhile project. And if you can donate to the project and help his cause, because they're in Lebanon, and in Lebanon, it can be a real struggle with electricity. The cost of maintaining a distro and so forth where he's located is a lot higher than it is for most of us in the rest of the world. So definitely a worthwhile project to contribute to and keep this going, because this is something we definitely want to keep in the Linux community. XeroLinux is something I actually installed a couple years ago, and I just loved it. I just had to manually take out the Latte Dock because at the time I wasn't real crazy about the Latte Dock, even though it was beautiful. A couple years ago, there was some kind of global menu issue or something going on, but this was a long time ago, and that had long since been resolved with the global dock and so forth. And back then, I think that was the only con I saw with it. And that's an easily fixable con for just about anyone. In fact, at the time, I just kept the Latte Dock and removed the global menu, if I remember right. But now that's not even an issue because we forwarded 2 years into the future. So XeroLinux, I highly recommend this. In fact, I'm going to stick it on my computer and use it as a daily, even though right now I'm using CachyOS and there's not a thing wrong with it. I love it. And you're thinking, if it ain't broke, then don't fix it. But I'm just somebody that loves to stick my neck out and get in trouble. So I'm going to do it and I won't get in trouble. So I'm confident of that. And with that, I say, if you're looking for something new to play with, or if you're getting into Linux for the first time, XeroLinux actually would be a great distro to transition to if you're not afraid of having a little bit of a different look than your traditional Windows, or if you're a Mac user, you're going to feel right at home right off the bat anyway. So either way, you can't go wrong. So give it a try or load it into a VM and just play with it for a while and see what you think. It's really worth taking a look if you like to explore new distros. So there you go. My two cents is a double thumbs up. And again, if I had 12 more thumbs, I'd do all 12 of them. So anyway, I hope this review was helpful. And if it was, don't forget to leave that thumbs up for me. And hit subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.